With the welcome, Mayor Nichols had to be out of town this morning, so we have a representative here, Cody, who's going to stand in for him.
Yes, ma'am. Welcome y'all to the Civic Center. My name's Cody Ramsey. I'm the director out here. So sorry, I'm not really dressed appropriate. We're working on ball fields. It's that time of year for softball fields. So just glad to have y'all. Anything I can do for y'all out here, just let me know, okay?
All right, appreciate it.
And I'm gonna sit in on this because it looks like it could be filled up a little bit more. So,
That's good.
Okay. Thank you, Cody.
Yes, ma'am.
Next, we're gonna have on our program, Mr. Larry Lofton, Ag Farm Director, Division Director. Sorry.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Morning, and thank you, Mr. Cody, for the welcome.
Yes, sir.
It's nice to be here at the Civic Center in Fordyce. Unfortunately, we have things going on, and a lot of folks are doing a lot of different things. We know a lot of farmers are getting their equipment ready for their fields. I see tractors all over the place. Matter of fact, I'm driving over mud when I have to be in my house now because these machines have been running in this clay. And when that mud gets on those streets, it stays there. But welcome to this meeting that's put together by Arkansas Land and Community Development Corporation. And the reason we do this is to bring the information from our programs and services, as well as our partners, the United States Department of Agriculture, the Farm Service Agency, the Loan Agency, the Natural Resources Conservation Service, as well as Rural Development. And you will hear a lot today about the programs that they have available to residents, farmers, business owners, gardeners in your community, as well as this county, as well as information for heirs property owners. We understand that heirs property is a big issue in our communities, not only in this county, but in most of the counties in eastern and southeastern Arkansas, especially the Delta area. And we do a lot of work with heirs property owners, helping to understand the complexities of heirs property, as well as some solutions to work around to help heirs maintain their property, keep their property, make their property profitable, and to give them avenues of accessing USDA programs, which had not been available to most heirs property owners in the past. But it is available now. And I want to stress that. Heirs property owners can take advantage of some of the USDA programs now. So please, if you have heirs property, when that section is being discussed, pay particular attention and ask questions if you like. As well as we have other programs that we're trying to introduce to farmers for their benefit, and that's some of the technology programs. And I'll leave that to Dr. King to discuss. And the last thing I would like to say is on behalf of our president and CEO, Dr. Calvin King, and our board of directors, our chairman, Dr. Cornelius, and our staff, I'd like to invite you and welcome you. And for those of you who may be online, we also ask that you please participate into the program. If you have questions, you can ask them and they'll be presented to the panel. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lofton. Next, we're gonna have our own Dr. King to come up, or he can sit where he is, and to speak with you regarding what Ms. Lofton said in the opening, and one USDA urban and rural business and all what Dr. King will come up and present to go over some of the things that's going to be talked about or discussed during the meeting here today. So Dr. King, can you come up?
Good morning to everyone.
Let me express my appreciation for Fordyce and the leadership here for hosting this particular event and allowing us the opportunity to come to you as it relates to what our purpose is as an organization and the other partnership organizations that we work with. I'd like to say also up front, this particular session, this meeting is being recorded. It's being recorded for the purpose of putting it online. So for those who may not be here in present, may not be able to be online today, and have an opportunity later on or during the weekend or at night, then they can go to our website later on. It will not be posted this week, but possibly the next week or the week after. But you can go to our website, that's at www.arlcdc.org. That's www.arlcdc.org. It is on your program agenda on the back of the website. And this is not just an opportunity for Arkansas Land and Community Development Corporation, but it's also an opportunity for those who are both here in person as well as those who may be online, it will give you an opportunity to share information with your neighbors, with your friends, and others who may not possibly be participating. And also, it gives you an opportunity to serve as a contributor, more of a contributor to your community, your local community, based on the information that you're able to receive and how that information can be beneficial to your local community. To the extent that local communities are able to access resources that's available to them, to that extent, our entire community grows and it develops. More so in an advanced fashion, or where it's more economically self-sustaining from those resources, and that's one of the things that I find that's very, very great about partnering with USDA, Natural Resource Conservation Services, Farm Service Agency, as well as USDA Rural Development. The fact that they bring so many resources to the table. Natural Resource Conservation Services provides financial assistance in a lot of areas, and of course, Mr. Williams, he'll speak more in detail about that, and hopefully we can have some conversation as it relates to what his discussion will be about on the type of financial resources and the benefits of those financial resources. Mr. Lockton gave reference to farming and, how the highways now, when the tractors come out of the field and the mud remains on the highway. Well, I live on one of those highways also, out in the rural area on our family farm. And of course, now, when they come out of the field, the mud is on the road. And then when you rain, when it does rain and you go down the road, the ones what we call in town, in city, I still say in town. When I was small coming up, we said, well, we going to town this weekend. So those that may be in the rural small town here, and they see your vehicle come in out of the country because you've been on one of those highways that's left the mud and everything on it, they think, oh, he must have been down a gravel road or dirt road somewhere. But literally, no, you on the highway. That's how much, I say Mother Earth that's been taken from the fields and it ends up on the highway. But also, it lets you know also, every time when I see that, I understand and have a better sense also of the challenges and what farmers are dealing with. That means they're dealing with time schedule, they're dealing with preparation of those farming operations, they're dealing with planning time schedules, and they're dealing also with what weather has contributed to part of that challenge, There are challenges in life, I don't care what you do in life, I don't care what you do, but specifically as it relates to production agriculture. Weather is one of the things that they have to deal with. I've farmed for 20 years, 20 plus years, and I grew up on the farm. You add that onto it, I just say I've been a part of farming operation involved in agriculture all my life. along with Natural Resource Conservation Service and its financial assistance. We're going to also talk about Farm Service Agency. If we don't have someone online that will speak to their program service area, then I will come back and talk to you about Farm Service Agency, the type of resources they have to offer to not just to rural communities, but also to urban communities. Because Farm Service Agency has been known, one as being Farmers Home Administration years ago, and now Farm Service Agency, and it was still known for providing its financial resources to rural areas only. Farm Service Agency, as well as Natural Resource Agency, now make their resources available to urban communities of small towns as well, not just out on big farms. They have urban farms and micro farms now, even if you're a gardener. So if you're a gardener and you're able to meet the requirements of Farm Service Agency and Natural Resource Conservation Services, then you're able to get the financial assistance that they have to offer to benefit you in a way that would allow you to make that garden or that micro small farm more productive, and that it is operated as a farm enterprise, maximizing the use of your land itself. And of course, the market opportunities that go along with that, which links more back to USDA rural development and what is offered from a market opportunity perspective, even about the small towns, the food banks, food pantries, and how you can supply those particular areas, what we call food hubs, and utilize those as market opportunities. Again, meeting those requirements to be a supplier to those outlets, as well as the direct-to-consumer marketing that's always available. And I know that, I grew up in that type of environment as a whole, direct-to-consumer marketing, where we sold to individuals, and we as well as selling into what we call a cooperative back some years ago. Gave reference to air property. Air property, real property, is a major asset in our local community. It's a major asset. But along with that asset, we sometimes do not maximize the opportunities that we have available to us by owning land or owning real estate. We don't maximize the opportunities. And first of all, you've been granted the opportunity to own real estate or to own land, and that has been passed on to you by your foreparents. That's an opportunity that one has that's been given to them to be a landowner, to be heir to real property. Now, what comes along with that, in a lot of cases, and specifically as it relates to our minority community, our community, in a lot of cases, that land or that property or that real property is what they call undivided interest. And in a lot of cases, that inheritance has been left without a will. And basically saying there's no will, so you don't get it probated through the court, and where the will sets forth who is in charge and or having the administrative responsibility for that estate. I come from a family of 11 siblings. And I see the expression on some of the face say 11. I'm number 11. I don't know. Okay, I'm number 11. See, someone, I'm number 11 also. I'm number 11 out of those 11 siblings. And, my parents, and we were blessed that they left a will, and that will itself rolled into a trust. And they had in that will who had the responsibility for being the administrator of what they had left behind for their children. So that estate, and we probated it accordingly through the courts, and the court, by court decree, honored what the will called for. And we have consistently operated that family trust for over 30 years now. For over 30 years, and don't get me wrong, you go from, well, you have the first generation, the second generation, then you roll into that third and fourth generation. And even when you have things structured properly, you will still have those that may not clearly understand how that will or how that trust has been established based on the foreparents, their foresight and what they wanted to see. And some will even challenge, that whole process. But again, fortunately, not only did they leave it in that manner with the will and the trust, we also have as a part of that how that trust is to be operated over the years. How you have the trustees and of course the administrator who's responsible to the trustees and has to operate in accordance to what the trust requires. And that's both being financially accountable, providing an annual financial reports on revenue and expenditures, with the operation. But that's us. I'm just saying, that's not the case with all families and with all estates. As a result, because things are not necessarily put in place, then individuals may become discouraged in some ways, be in disagreement. And they say, well, they just want their interest out of the whole thing. They just want their interest out of, and I'm done with it, as whether they have property. And so then you have a dispute. And when a dispute comes in place under the old law in Arkansas and still in some certain states, if an individual petition the courts, if they petition the courts to get their interest out of that property, then the property is automatically sold. Because under the old law, even for Arkansas, it said that land cannot be divided equally and equitably among individuals, because some of the land may be low land, some of it may be high land, hilly land, some may have woods on it. So normally in those cases, then the courts would order the property sold and the money equally divided to all the heirs. But that's not the law in Arkansas now. The law in Arkansas now, under the Unified Air Property Act, and our organization worked on that for over 20 years, or more than 20 years, and it finally passed a few years ago. And under the Unified Air Property Act, basically what it says is that if an individual wants to sell their interest in that estate, in that family undivided interest, on that real property, if they want that interest out, they must first offer that interest to the other heirs at the appraised value. So that's either to all the heirs as a group, or one individual heir, or maybe 3 or 4 heirs who say, well, we'll purchase your interest out. Those who do not want to sell their interest in the property. But again, that's sort of the air property law where it stands now. And again, the challenges that exist and barriers where it's a major asset. And the great thing about real property is something that can appreciate in value, increase in value. It can increase in value depending upon what type of investment you make in it, what you decide to do with it. If you have a piece of land, as an example, you have 3 acres of land that actually has no building anything on it, and you build a home on that 3 acres of land. Well, obviously, the capital investment of the investment, the money that you invest in building that home on that 2 or 3 acres, then overall that particular piece of property is much more valuable as a whole. It's much more valuable. And there are a lot of other things, and when I say financial assistance that is offered by the resources, there are a lot of things that are offered by Natural Resource Conservation Services, through Farm Service Agency, if you want to have it as a small micro farm, that can increase the ultimate overall value of that particular, be it a small piece of land, a micro farm, if it's a 40-acre or 50-acre or 60-acre, piece of land, you can increase the overall value of that property. The other thing that we've been doing as it relates to agriculture, particularly with smaller farms and vegetable producers. We've found, and we work not just with vegetable producers, also with small ranchers as well. If you know someone who's a small rancher, if you're working with someone who's a small rancher or small farmer, we have over the years, past maybe 6 or 7 years, we decided to look at drones. Now, a lot of our young people love to work with drones and deal with drones, and they look at them just as toys, from a toy perspective or something to really, it's sort of an adventure, for them. But drones can be used as an added value from the perspective of dealing with production agriculture, be it vegetable production, be it small ranching operation, and for other purposes. And we started to look at that, back some years ago, and found that in utilizing drones, both from a ranching perspective as well as working with small farmers, if you have a 5-acre field or a 10-acre field, 3 acres, whichever, and the time it takes you to do what we call a pre-assessment of that field, understanding areas and where you certainly have certain problems from pests, insects, and things of that nature. And you'll find a certain area of the field sometimes maybe more problematic than other areas of the field. And early stages of production with those crops, being able to observe and see when plants are experiencing stress. It could be stress from insect infestation or starting of insect infestation. You can scout and deal with those fields much faster with drones equipped, and be able to see and go back, to the home, your computer, whichever, and say, I know we have this section of the field, and I know we have to deal with some management control on insects based on certain damage and certain stress that we see in those particular areas of our field. So we found that drones can be a very, very positive added value in dealing with farming operations. They've been utilized more and more now, not just in dealing with construction sites, forestry areas from that perspective, but also in production agriculture. So again, Mr. Lofton gave reference to what we do on our property. And that's what I'm going to give reference to as being a program solution approach that we're taking to work with individuals to remove those barriers that families may have as it relates to owning real property and that property having undivided interest as it stands from an asset perspective, and how you can utilize a property much better and access the type of financial resources that may be necessary to make certain improvements on that land. We're going to talk about housing, affordable housing. Now there is a bank and mortgage company, and I'm only going to give reference to it, but if there are any questions that individuals may have as it relates to that. But Federal Home Loan Bank is a major financial institution that other local banks are a part of. And as I was preparing to come to Fordyce, I noticed there is one bank in this area, I think it's a bank and mortgage company. Is it called EBT?
FBT.
Good.
FB&T.
SB&T.
FB&T. Used to be Fordyce Bank and Trust.
FBT. I should have known that before that. Okay. Fordyce Bank and Trust. Okay. Let me just acknowledge the fact and commend, that community bank for the work that it's doing with community development. They apparently, as a member of Federal Home Loan Bank, access those resources and utilize them for community development, community economic development here in the Fordyce area. And there are a lot of programs. There are a lot of programs, everything from equity financing that the banks can access, and where it may be a farming operation or a rural business enterprise that may not have the amount of security that is necessary to leverage the type of finance that's necessary. They may only be $50,000, say upside down, say, okay, well, you need $250,000, but you don't have enough security for us to loan you $250,000. Well, banks that participate with Federal Home Loan Bank, and it may be for business, enterprise, community economic development, then they can access up to $125,000 in what I call equity financing. That is unsecured financing on the part of that particular loan or investment that they're making. So that would enable them to make the loan for the $250,000. And depending on what the bank requirements are, don't get me wrong, then they may require 125%, of security against, what would be 100% at 225,000 or 250,000. But the point is, it's a tool, it's an added tool that allows them to do more in the local community to support business and community economic development. And that's only one of the areas. The other is in the area of working with creating affordable housing programs in partnership with other community-based organizations. Then the bank may be doing that already. The fact they have mortgage company, linked to it, it may be that they're already doing that and working with individuals to provide financing either as first-time home buyers and covering the closing costs. Some equity financing allow them to build homes, but you can do up to like $2 million. Banks can, member banks, to work with community economic development and housing issues in the local area. And again, it takes a partnership, it takes communication with the banks, and that means you in your role as a local resident, others that may have a role in leadership position with community-based organization. There may be civic groups, others. But the fact that there are so many resources and types of resources that's available by way of both private sector and the public sector, that we feel is necessary for us to be here and others to receive the information, to understand the program and the benefit of those resources for your local community, where they are, and the process for accessing those resources. So I'm going to stop it at this point. I'll come back, and you all, if you have any questions for me in relation to the end of the area, except for Natural Resource Conservation Service, because I know they're here, and a person that can answer any question in relation to their finance, and I won't say financing, their financial resources and how they make their resources available. But I will speak to you if FSA is not on the line, then I'll speak to you as it relates to USDA Farm Service Agency and USDA Rural Development Programs as far as financing concerned, program services, housing grants, community facility grants, as well as loan financing for housing. So I'm going to stop at this point and turn it back over to Ms. Williams.
Great, thank you, Dr. King. Is there any questions? All right. So before we get started, we don't have Farm Service Agency online, and before going to Kennard Williams here, we have with NRCS. We have to start with Farm Service Agency with a farm number. And with that farm number, you will be able to get in programs that is that FSA has to offer. And that's how you would go to Natural Resources Conservation Services, which, as I said, Kennard Williams here today, he's gonna explain what you're gonna do with that farm number to get an NRCS program, as well as FSA, Farm Service Agency. I don't know if Darnell Bailey is there and prepared.
He's there, I don't know. Mr. Bailey. Mr. Darnell. Are you on?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah, I'm Bailey Darnell. I'm the district conservationist here at Fordyce, and I handle both Dallas and Cleveland County. So if y'all need to come by, we're over here at 702 Forestry Street.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Bailey. Okay, and as far as the Farm Service Agency ID, which is, we said, a farm serial number that you could enroll programs that's offered with FSA. And in order to obtain that farm serial number, you have to have documents, driver's ID, driver's license ID, or a tax ID, other documents, or even lease agreements that you're gonna farm with this farm serial number. And if you don't have that, if a farm numbers already exist there, then you would need lease agreements or ID or heir of property information showing that you are an heir to this property, or you're gonna be leasing it. So I'm gonna turn it over to NRCS, which is Natural Resources Conservation Services. This morning, Kennard Williams is here, and he's gonna explain more to their programs.
Good morning, thank you, Ms. Williams.
Good morning.
Ms. Darnell, I appreciate you. Thank you for giving your address so everyone will know the address for the local office here in Fordyce. I'm Kennard Williams. I'm the state outreach coordinator and also the beginning farming coordinator for Arkansas. Today, I'm just going to discuss a couple programs within RCS. I guess we first will start off, it just depends on who's online, what we're about, how we were established, and how we came about, the history of just a briefing. NRCS started off as Soil Conservation Service back at the Dust Bowl. We were losing a lot of our topsoil. So the biggest thing we were trying to do was trying to help the farmers to protect their soils. I started in the early 30s with the Dust Bowl. In 1994, we changed over to the Natural Resource Conservation Service. You hear a lot of people call us NRCS, but we're still USDA, still the same agency. But we kind of changed the focus a little bit. Instead of just focusing just on soils, start focusing on the water, the air, the plants. So we started looking at all the natural resources that all tie in together. So today, when I start talking about the programs that we have to offer, we'll start looking at it will address all the natural resources. And we have a program called Equip, but I get into that a little bit later. But the most important thing, our mission is to help the people, help the land. We've been doing that for over 80 years now, just trying to help our producers. At the same time, it's to protect their land, and at the same time, so they can be sustainable. So we try to help them, and they can protect it at the same time. I know Dr. King was talking about, what started off with Mr. Lofton, about the mud in the road coming from the houses and things like that. So, that's part of what we try to do, and protect, keep it on the field, soil on the field. Because once they get on the pavement and the highway, that's dirt. The soil once it's in the field, you can't grow anything on that street. So it's dirt. Just like the vacuum cleaner. You can't grow anything that come out the vacuum cleaner, so that's dirt. Now, soil is a living organism. You can actually grow some, your food, your fiber from soil. So that's the difference between the two. So when you start running all those clogs in the road, you can't grow anything on that dirt. But if you can get it in the scoop and put it back in the field, you can actually grow a plant on it. So we're trying to help protect those resources, that soil, that living organism on the field. One of our main programs that we do offer, we call EQUIP, which is the Environmental Quality Incentive Program. And that's pretty much open to all producers, everybody. And it can address soil issue, water issue. Give you an example. And also, we talk about high tones. Some people wonder, do we have an acre limitation? We do not. Some folks say, oh, it's too small. Well, every little fruit, food, and fiber that we add to our community, to our house, is needed. Your fresh fruit and vegetables. So we do have different programs for all sizes. It can be large, it can be small, it can be medium operations. Ms. Williams was talking about FSA, that we need to get the farm number, track number. FSA is not able to be with us today, but they are a sister agency, and we work hand in hand. You take and get your legal information, like your farm number, track number. You have to have it to get in the system. Once you get in the system, and we also assist with that. Once you get in the system with your farm number, track number, that's our information is pulled from their information, and then we pull your information, your data from it. And we'll actually, we do a lot of different things, even though we talk about programs, but we also just provide that technical assistance. For 2025, we do have the EQUIP, and we'll talk about conservation stewardship program. We do have both programs that's available for 25. We have had signups. Those signups that last dates have passed, and so we're actually looking at working at 2026. So funds that's available, unless we get some additional funds that may come for 25. But those signups deadlines have passed. But EQUIP, CSP, they all are continuous signups, so you can sign them up anytime, so you won't miss it. But what that does is if you're beginning farmers, beginning farming ranchers, most of the time you're gonna have to get your farm number, you have to get your track number. But at the same time, we can start doing the conservation work, the planning part, which is CTA, conservation technical assistance. We can actually schedule a field visit, come out and look. Because sometimes you know your goals, what you may want to do, but we can come out and say, well, hey, have you thought about this? Have you thought about looking at this? And you're looking at it from pasture, timber, row crop, even the small gardens that you do, so vegetables and produce. So we can help and assist, even if funds available or not. We can also always provide that conservation technical assistance to help you protect your soil, protect your land at the same time. So that's in a nutshell what NRCS does to try to help our farmers. Now we have a program called CSP, which is Conservation Stewardship Program, and what it does, it's a program designed to enhance the practices that you already have implemented. Because we have some good farmers out there. So they're like, well, I've done all this. Well, okay, give you an example. Somebody may have this area, a lot of cattle. They may want to put water trough in. They already may have it in already. So I said, well, do you have it controlled that you don't have to go out there and bust the ice when it get cold? Have you put the warmers in the inside of it? Or have you put the trough to turn it on, turn it off? So those are different enhancements, including the pasture plantings. So you can enhance it. CSP helps you enhance and take it to another level. So it's kind of like rewarding for a great steward, being a good steward, but actually take it to another level, start thinking of other things to improve your operation. So the same thing with timber. We have timber management, timber practices, same thing with row crops, different row crops, crop rotation, conservation cover crops and things like that. So, but those are the programs that we actually have to actually help our farmers and our producers through the NRCS. I won't hold you long. Is there any questions or any particular practices or programs or anything that anybody interested in that you may have a question about while I'm standing? I'll be here the whole day, be here the whole time with Mr. King. So if y'all you think of something that you may need. Also, let me give you my information, my phone number, if you would like to reach out, but you do have your local office. Ms. Darnell, she gave you information local, which I'm going to refer you back to your local office to get your information, to get you started so they can come out and start working on your conservation plan. A conservation plan is actually giving you the information to start
planning and practicing what you want to do on your property. You can base it out 2 or 3 years. You can do it a little bit by a little bit. If you want to do it all, you can, but at least that's the plan, a base, especially for our beginning farmers. Sometimes you really don't know which direction you may want to go. That conservation plan would actually help you get to where you want to be. So our local office will always provide that service to you, and we'll work around your schedule and they'll get out to based on availability at that time. My phone number, you can always call me. I can get that information out to you. My phone number is 870-270-8923. So if you have any questions or y'all need to try to get to a different county, different location, if you're not here, Fordyce, y'all just give me a call and let me know. I'll be more than happy to help you get to where you want to be and help you. I do know a lot of the programs and how a lot of that work, but I will always forward you to your local office. Y'all have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Next we have online, and I believe Tommy James, who is the area specialist in this area. And he will discuss housing grant and loan programs, rural small town community grant and loan programs, business grants and loan programs, and the energy programs. Mr. James, is he ready? Mike?
Good morning. Good morning, Ms. Williams. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting rural development. We have the rural development staff out of the Monticello office and the Pine Bluff office. We have out of the Monticello office, we have Mrs. Casey Maddox, loan specialist, as well as Miss Marissa Harris, area specialist out of the Pine Bluff office. Rehabilitation program for repairs, and we also have the 502 program. Also on the call, we have Mr. Michael Montgomery. He's a specialist, commercial loan specialist that deals with community programs and community facilities. Our service area, you being there in Dallas County, Fordyce is within our service area. And of course, we have a total of about 14 counties that we cover in the southeast section of Arkansas. And so staff will be talking to you about the programs. And starting off, we'll have single family housing program starting off by Mrs. Marissa Harris. Ms. Harris, are you there?
Yes. Good morning, everyone. Well, afternoon, everyone. With our single family housing program, we have, Mr. James discussed, a 502 direct program. That program is for applicants, families that wish to purchase a home or construct a new home. With the single family housing direct program, there are income limits. The family has to be very low or low income for the county that they live in. And since you all are currently in Dallas County, I'll just give the income limits for Dallas County, just as an example. So for a family of 2 in Dallas County, the family's income cannot exceed $56,000 in order to be eligible for the 502 direct program. So that would be $56,000 for a family of 2. That's actually the income limit for a family of 1 to 4. And then if the family size is from 5 to 8, their income cannot exceed $73,950 to be income eligible for our program. Also, of course, rural development does look at your credit history. And also, rural development looks at your repayment ability. And your repayment ability is your total debt, such as credit cards, card notes, and those types of items, in respect to your total income. And that's what determines how much of a home that family would be able to afford. Right now, the maximum income limit is $398,000, but that amount, of course, is not an amount that every family would be eligible for. It is, as I just mentioned, based on that PITI ratio and total debt ratio. As far as credit history, if a family has a credit history score of at least 640, it's almost automatic credit approval, except for if there's any kind of civil judgments or any kind of judgments. We would have to look at those kind of case by case. And also, if a family does not have a 640, that does not mean automatic denial. But again, that tri-merge credit report from the 3 credit bureaus would have to be looked at case by case. At the time that a family is determined eligible, after providing all the information that is needed, they will receive what's called a certificate of eligibility. That certificate tells the family the amount they're eligible for as far as looking for an existing home, or if they're wanting to start the process of building a home. So that is a short overview of the 502 Direct program. We also have a 504 Repair program. And if it's okay, I would like to turn that over to Casey Maddox, who is another specialist.
Hello, you guys. So with our 504 Repair program, it's to help very low income homeowners improve, repair, or modernize their homes. We have a loan and a grant. For our grants, the applicant has to be at least 62 years of age or older, and they have to also show that they cannot repay repair loan back. So although that they have to be 62, it's not a guarantee that they will qualify for the grant just because they're 62. There are other things that we look at. Our maximum grant amount is $10,000. It does not have to be repaid back. It's a lifetime grant, but all grant funds have to be used to remove safety and health hazards. We also have a loan. Our maximum loan amount is $40,000. The interest rate is set at 1%, and it can be repaid back over 20 years. Our loans is set at an interest rate of 1%. It's set at an interest rate of 1%. Currently, we do not have the only funds that we currently have are 504 loan funds in the state, and we do accept applications year round. And that's all that I have.
Okay, and just to add to what was said by Mrs. Maddox on the funding situation, of course, as you know, this is the week here that Congress will convene again to try to come up with a budget, approve a budget for FY25. And so right now we've been working on what they call continuous resolutions until we can get a budget. So some funds are periodically submitted to the states, various states, to be utilized for the 504 loan and grant program, as well as the 502 program. Also, I wanted to just mention to you that we right now are working extremely hard trying to play catch up right now, and we are doing that. We're going to continue to do what we are required to do as far as taking in applications. It may be a little backlog, but we're going to work through that. And so if you would just be patient with us on that. Right now, I'm going to ask Mr. Montgomery to chime in on the community programs and the community facility programs that rural development has to offer. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. James. I am Michael Montgomery, and I'm going to share with you a bit of information about the Community Facilities Direct Loan and Grant Program. What this program does is it provides funding to help develop essential community facilities in our rural areas. An essential community facility is something that provides essential services to the local community. And facility sounds like a a building or a piece of real estate, but it's not necessarily the case. It might be a piece of equipment as well. The borrowers that may apply for this program would include any public bodies, or also includes community-based nonprofit corporations or federally recognized tribes. It has to be a facility that serves a rural area. Funds from this program can be used to purchase or construct or improve community facilities. And examples of that would be healthcare facilities, possibly town halls or courthouses or airport hangars, community support services like a child care center, or work on fairground facilities. Oftentimes, this program is used for public safety services, such as police stations or police and rescue vehicles or ambulance vehicles. Fire trucks, for example, is another great use of it. Can also be used for telemedicine services or distance learning services and equipment. If you have any questions about this, our office is always available to answer those questions and get any applications out to those that are interested. We are facing a bit of a squeeze on our grant funds at the moment, but hopefully that'll be opened back up. But there are direct loan opportunities which have low interest rates for very attractive, terms, but you do have to qualify under other certain conditions for those loans as well. But if there are any questions, feel free to call our office and I can talk to you at any time. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Mr. Montgomery, and if at this time I'd like to give the phone number here in the Monticello office. That number is 870-367-8400, extension 4. Also have a sub area office there in Pine Bluff, located in the federal building, room 2107, 100 East 8th Avenue. That number there is 870-534-320.
Repeat that again. Tommy,
Can you hear me?
yeah, will you repeat that again, the number?
Yeah, the number to the Pine Bluff office is 870-534-3200, extension 4. And the number to the Monticello office is 870-367-8400, extension 4.
Monticello.
That's in Monticello at 419 West Gaines Street here in Monticello, Arkansas. Yeah.
These grants available for religious facilities. I didn't hear him mention church religious facilities.
Okay, Tommy, we had a question here in the audience.
Are these grants available for religious facilities?
Mr. Montgomery, could you expound on that? I can start it off.
Yeah, feel free, Tommy.
Yes.
Mr. Montgomery, he wants to expound.
I'm not sure. I couldn't hear Tommy talking there, but I'll just kind of pick up. To answer your question, no, if it's primarily a church in the community, then that would be a difficult thing to get through as far as the community facilities program.
County is no, it is not available for religious facilities. Is that what you're saying?
Look, what? let me ask the question a little different way to rural development. Her question was, is the grant, community facility grant, available to religious organizations? Now, I think the way that the regulations are, and I know there have been some in the past and what they call forget what they call the groups, but in other words, they were religious groups, but they had nonprofit organizations.
It's nonprofit, it's a historical site of nonprofit.
Okay, so yeah, that's why I want to get some clarity on your, well, I thought your question may have been. So technically, and this is the rural development, our point is that a religious organization has a nonprofit and it's a historical community site.
Correct.
A historical community site. The nonprofit, but it's a separate nonprofit organization that owns that particular property that's used for community purpose.
Yeah.
Am I correct?
Restore a facility. We're trying to restore a
okay.
facility and get money for that.
And the purpose of the request for the funding is to renovate those facilities.
Correct.
From the grant perspective. So it's a nonprofit organization that is open for historical site that is offered for community purposes. That's owned by, not owned by, that was created by a religious group, a church group. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay, that was created. So the church group created or has a nonprofit that owns a historical site that is used for community purpose. I think that's
Religious purpose, yeah.
well, it can't be straight for religion.
It's related, it's for women, it's for different things.
Okay, so it will be, it's utilized as a community venue, I guess you would say, as a community venue. I think probably the best terminology for it. So the historical site offered to the community as a community venue for events. Does that sort of, okay. That's what she had.
I think there's a couple of things there. One would have to just look into more what the primary purpose of the facility is and what happens at the facility and if it will be eligible or not. Two, the purpose of renovating a historical site gets really unlikely. We've had that happen before, not necessarily with a church facility, but just a historical site. Whenever we look at a project that requires funding to try to restore a building back to the requirements that are kind of go in line with those designations, they can get more expensive than what a different type of facility would be to serve those types of same purposes. And part of the regulations of the program is it has to be modest in design and size and scale and that kind of thing. And so whenever we have projects that run into different types of materials that are specific to the original design and those types of things, it tends to get outside of those requirements.
Business grants. What you can say about the business grants?
The other question is the business grant. How does the business grant work?
Tommy James, we have the rural development business and industry programs.
We having problems hearing you, Mr. James. We having problems with you hearing you, Mr. James.
He'll be on the line in just a moment. Just bear with me.
Dr. King, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, okay. Sorry about that. We was having some technical difficulties. But anyway, the question was in regards to rural development business and industry type loans. Is that correct?
Well, in relationship to the Rural Business Grant Program, the Rural Business Enterprise Grant Program.
Okay, yeah. We have an array of programs under our business and rural cooperative programs. Just for an example here, if you're looking at the B&I guarantee, that will be a program that assists eligible applicants such as banks and other commercial lenders who make loans to rural businesses. It's a guarantee type loan, okay? We also have what we call the IRP. It's the Intermediary Relending Program. And in order to eligible applicants for that program would be nonprofits, economic development groups, tribes, and public bodies, okay? And we also have the Rural Business Development Grant Enterprise, and this is for eligible applicants such as nonprofits, economic development groups, again, tribes, and public bodies. Now, this is a grant. The typical amount for this type of assistance is $100,000 maximum and less, okay? These particular programs are administered by our state office, which is headquartered out of Little Rock, okay? That's our state office there in Little Rock. The program director is Mr. Tim Smith. He is the Business and Cooperative Program Director for the state of Arkansas. I can give you his phone number. It's 501, area code 501-301-3280. And it just goes on and on. Also, we have the VAPG program, which is the Value Added Producer Grant Programs. And that's used to assist farmers and ranchers, co-ops, and producer groups and joint ventures. Again, this is a grant as well, maximum amount from $75,000 up to $250,000, and is utilized for planning and working capital purposes, okay? Applications are taken once a year, and it's competitive at the national office level. So it originates there in the state office, and of course the state office will submit it to the national office. Also, we have what we call an SDGG socially disadvantaged group grant, and there again, this is a grant as well. It's for cooperatives, cooperative development centers, and that is controlled by members of socially disadvantaged groups, okay? And the maximum amount of assistance on this one is $175,000. It is a grant, and it's for areas outside of the urbanized edge of the cities of 50,000 greater population, okay? So this year is a socially disadvantaged. Also, we have the Rural Cooperative Development Grant Program, and this program purpose is to support centers to assist cooperatives. So if you have some cooperatives there, also it assists eligible applicants such as universities and nonprofit economic development areas, population of 50,000 or more, and typically between $200,000 and $300,000 grant. Once a year. It's once a year that that the funding comes around, and that comes out on what we call a NOFA. That's a notification of funding availability to let you know that those funds are available, and when the window's open for that, individuals or nonprofits can apply for that program. Okay, so there again, these programs that I just went over, and like I said, we have about 17. You have the REAP, grant program, the REAP loan guarantee program, the RED loan, the RED grant, and the Delta Healthcare Service grant. So there are an array, about 17 different programs that falls under the B&I program, okay? So also I'm going to give you the website. Our website is www.rd.usda.gov/AR, which stands for Arkansas. And you will find there at that website, if you click on programs, it will list all the programs, in particular the B&I program, and it'll go more in details and let you know who's eligible to apply for it and the organization and so forth, and the amount of money that that can be applied for. So again, this program is administered out of our state office. It's not administered out of the area office. So basically, if we should get inquiries about this program, we refer them to our state office, and that being the program director, Tim Smith.
I want to ask you about one of the grant programs that you have, and this is on the housing side. Your housing preservation grant. I know you gave reference to the 504 and 502. Of course, the 502 being the loan program side, but the preservation grant. What's the maximum that a nonprofit can apply for with the preservation grant?
Yes, sir. We have what we call our housing preservation grant. It's short for HPG Section 533. The purpose of this program is to support programs that cure safety and health and accessibility problems in existing homes. Okay. The eligible applicants who can apply will be nonprofits, tribes, and public bodies such as city and counties. Eligible areas would be unincorporated areas of 20,000 or less in populations. The typical amount of the assistance ranges from 30,000 up to 50,000. And as stated, it is a grant, okay, that you provide, that rural development provides to the nonprofit to assist in the curing of removing any health or safety issues and making their homes more accessible for those individuals who are going to apply. And basically, the nonprofit would be the one that does the work as far as putting in the time, taking applications and so forth, and making sure that they are vetted as far as the applications that they receive, and making sure that they own their homes, okay? And so they would go through that process with the applicant who is applying, and of course the grant that they receive from rural development would help offset some of their administrative costs, okay? That $30,000 to $50,000. Yes, sir.
But make sure you said that either nonprofits or city government can apply for the preservation grant.
Yeah, and it can be housing authorities as well.
Okay, and the housing authorities.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
About that. My next question, on the preservation grant, can a nonprofit or a municipality or housing authority use the preservation grant with the 504 grant?
No. That's a separate pot of money, which it comes out of the funding for that program. It comes out of the regular allocation for the 504 loan and grant program, okay? For those individuals who are applying. And in some cases, you find nonprofits go out and obtain other funding sources. I think you mentioned some about early on in the conversation that you was talking about federal home loan programs that they offer. And that's what the organization does as far as going out and leveraging those funds with RD funds and trying to assist those applicants that qualify, that is the nonprofit or the city and county governments, to assist those individuals to remove any of those health or safety issues that they have with their homes under the Housing Preservation Grant Program.
So I guess my next question, if the local area, either nonprofit municipality, was going to work with the private sector, they do have a bank in this area that's doing community development and accessing the Federal Home Loan Bank financing. So if they were able to create a partnership and to apply for the Federal Home Loan Bank monies and work with address the needs for substandard housing, then they could use the preservation grant under the the preservation grant and the 504 loan as a part of the program.
That is correct, because the 504 in this case right here with the housing preservation grant, let me say this, with the housing preservation grants, they receive those dollars through the housing preservation grant to assist, I stand to be corrected, to assist those applicants who own their home and desires to do repairs to remove any health or safety issue. Those housing and preservation grant dollars are used to assist them. Now, it can be leveraged with other agencies or lenders to offset their costs.
Okay.
Because it is a grant now. It is a grant.
No, I understand, and I'm just wanting to make sure that the community has enough information to understand, the importance of those partnerships with the private sector and USDA, resources, what the possibilities are. One, the same requirements with Federal Home Loan Bank affordable grant program, which is up to roughly $2 million that you could possibly get to utilize in putting together such a strategy for this area based on what the needs are. So between a nonprofit organization, a municipality, and a private sector bank, then you could be talking about a significant program for this area to deal with inadequate housing.
Yes, sir, that is correct. And just to give you an idea of what the authorized purposes are, any program that offers affordable assistance, be it loan, grant, subsidies, technical assistance to repair very low and low income households. And one of the key success to it is that in the competitive process, preference is given to projects with leverage funds and targeting very low and low income households, just like you stated. Yeah. So it will be able, if it's going to be leveraged, that's going to be an incentive on the scoring of that application. If you're going to go about it that way, as opposed to just standalone utilizing housing preservation grant dollars from rural development. It would help, be more preferable if you utilize leveraging funds with other funding sources, like you stated.
All right. That's all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, question.
No, you had.
Okay, thank you, Tommy, and your staff for rural development. I know we didn't get to farm loan side. However, we're gonna go back to let Dr. King come up with the, as I said prior to now, with the farm service serial number, a farm number which you need, and a track number to participate in FSA programs. And again, with the proof of identity, driver's license or social security card, copy of property deed or survey plat, for a rental or lease agreement. So you can call your local county office and ask for an appointment, and they will make you an appointment and create you a farm number. So you will be able to participate in the farm programs that's eligible for you in the FSA office, farm program, farm loan side. And we're gonna ask Doc to come up and he will discuss on the farm loan side regarding the direct loans, farm ownership loans, guarantee farm loans, and farm operating loans.
Now, I understand we don't have anyone on the line that's with Farm Service Agency. There is someone on? That's it.
Is there anyone on from FSA?
They contact.
Okay, I want to briefly go over Farm Service Agency, the agency itself, what it has to offer. One, Farm Service Agency, best known as FSA, it has two different sides. It has a program side and it has a loan side. On the program side, in most cases, when certain dollars come in, that's for the purpose, for the benefit of farmers, those dollars come in through the program side. That was commodity food assistance program that was out some years ago, a few years ago on back. Of course, that was on the farm program side. Individuals would go in and sign up for that particular program, and they would receive the market subsidy assistance that came through Farm Service Agency. That's money that they do not have to pay back. If there is a disaster and as a result of the disaster, payments are going to be made to farmers for disaster assistance, then that would be on the farm program side. But then, of course, they also have the disaster assistance that comes through on the farm financing side as well, as far as the emergency loan program side. The other area that's very important for individuals who may decide to pursue being a micro urban farmer is the NAP program, what I call risk management program, for those individuals that's going to be producing crops or producing vegetable crops. And basically that's insurance program that mitigates the risk factor that's involved in agricultural production. So whether you're a micro small farmer or you're a larger vegetable farmer, if you're producing pecan trees and things of that nature, then the NAP program would be on the program side, and they have a specific sign-up period, a time period that individuals would be required to go into the office, sign up for the crops that you're going to be producing. And it's more than one. Again, it depends upon the season of the crops that you're going to be producing, particularly the vegetable crop. It's going to be a spring crop, summer crop, or fall crop. And of course, we have one individual here with NRCS probably knows more about that than anyone, because he worked so much with vegetable farm production. But anyway, that's on the non-insurable crops, and that's on the farm program side with Farm Service Agency. Now, the other is the loan side. The loan side, and that's money that you're going to have to pay back. You have both the direct loan and have the guarantee loan. But those individuals who may be interested more in being and I'm going to do this as a comparison to Natural Resource Conservation Services, what they have to offer, and then the Farm Service Agency. They have the micro loan, the micro direct loan, which is up to $50,000. Up to $50,000 as a direct loan, and that covers all of what your operating expenses may be in as an application process for that, developing the farm business plan itself for that particular loan. We work with individuals providing technical assistance to put together those loan business plans. That's a micro loan, direct loan, up to $50,000. They also have a $50,000 capital loan side. And that is if you were going to purchase land. I'm just going to use an example. If that was like 5 acres that you wanted to purchase in the Fordyce area, and that may be land that does not have a farm number or anything of that nature, if you have at least 3 years experience as a farmer, then you would be eligible to receive the direct capital loan, a loan to purchase land with Farm Service Agent. That's on the micro loan program side. Now, as an example, an individual, Natural Resource Conservation Services, if an individual was leasing, say, 5 acres of land, and they had a 7-year lease on that land, and the owner has already gotten a farm number for it. You as an operator, having the land leased for that 5 to 7 year period of time, have gone through the process to get a farm number for it as an operator, then the owner of that land decided that they wanted to sell it after you've been operating for at least 3 years, then you'll be eligible for that $50,000 loan to purchase that 5 acres of land that you may be operating as a micro urban farm. So that's an example of it could be a beginning farmer farming for at least 3 years. After 3 years, then qualifying for the farm ownership loan. On the loan side, they also have the direct loan for a regular farming operation and the maximum operating loan for that. And that's for all your operating expenses to purchase equipment, your seeds and labor and anything that's involved in running that farm ranching operation. Now, that loan is up to $400,000 that an individual can receive as a beginning farmer, as a veteran, as a seasonal farmer, one that has been operating the farm for a period of time, as long as it does not exceed a 10-year time period where you're eligible as a beginning farmer for that particular program. And in some cases, even after a period of 10 years, and I won't go into what all those requirements are, one could or may possibly still qualify for that direct operating loan. Again, that's up to $400,000 for operating purposes. Now, that $400,000 as an operating loan has to be paid back at the end of the year, or the time period, say the annual payback period. At the end of the year, 12 months, you have to fully pay that operating loan back, with an exception. With an exception of, and this is only as an example, if you received an operating loan and it was for, and let's just use $400,000 as an example, and $200,000 of that was for operating expenses only. That's for your operating expenses, your labor, your seed, your pesticides, your herbicides, your irrigation costs, your fuel, and all the other things that are involved in running a farming operation, just producing the crops and getting it out of the field. Say it's for $200,000. And then you may purchase of equipment, which was another $200,000. Well, at the end of that 12-month, that time period that you received a loan for, you would have to pay back the whole $200,000 for the regular operating costs, seeds, chemicals, and everything. And then on the capital expenditure, what we call chattel, the equipment that you purchased, then you have 7 years. You have 7 years to pay off the other $200,000 for your equipment. And of course, they prorate that out again over a 7-year period of time. Involved in the farming operation, meeting the requirements again, and the time period for the eligibility to purchase land. Farm Service Agency make loans to purchase land for up to $600,000. So if individuals say they've been farming for 5 years and there's land that they've been renting for this past 5-year period of time, a 10-year period of time, and the owner has an interest in selling that land, then they will be eligible for up to $600,000 to make land purchase. That's on the direct loan side, both for capital and for operating expenses for a farming operation. And you put it all together, if you're over that 3-year period of time, you're roughly talking about a total max of $1 million for both capital and operating expenses that one could possibly qualify for in putting together a loan business plan package. Again, meeting all the eligibility criteria for the capital purchasing side, along with the direct loan for operating purposes. Then they have the guarantee loan. Now that number has changed, and I can't recall exactly what the maximum dollar figure is at this point for operating purposes. But the main thing is that if it's going to exceed that $400,000 for operating purposes, then one may qualify for a guarantee loan, and you should have a relationship with a bank, a private sector lender. So you have a relationship with the bank of a private sector lender, then they could make you that loan or operating loan, say up to $1 million, and then FSA can guarantee up to 90% of that $1 million operating loan. Now, they don't necessarily say up to, might be less than 90%, but they can serve as the security up to a certain dollar amount, a guarantee on the security base of that loan. And that's the benefit of having FSA as a guarantor working with the private sector on the guarantee loan program. It's over $1 million again. Don't know those exact figures, but I would recommend that you go by Farm Service Agency office or the USDA Service Center where FSA would possibly be located, but they have offices in this area, the service area, and they will let you know what the maximum guarantee amount is, or you can give it to a private sector lender. Give it to private sector lender, any participating preferred lender that is participating with USDA guarantee program, and they would know what the maximum direct loan that they could make and be able to receive the benefit of the guarantee program with USDA. And that's sort of the lending side. I want to go back to Natural Resource Conservation Services, and I think we're about out of time, and I'm going to wrap it up. If that's okay. So, and sort of summarize, I want to go back to Natural Resource Conservation Services. Mr. Williams that offered to you the type of resources that's available through Natural Resource Conservation Services. And he mentioned the EQUIP program. And for those that are both online as well as those who are in person, that EQUIP program can also provide to individuals that's with them meeting all the eligibility criteria, having the farm number, working with FSA to get the farm number, That equip program allowed individuals, they could put up a hoop house. And a hoop house is sort of like a large greenhouse. It could be probably the size of this room right here. And the size of this room in the Civic Center, that's a pretty large garden. If you would call it the garden, except you could call it a farm. And the nonprofit organization, I don't know if you have I don't know if the venue, and particularly in a historical site, but if there's land connected back to that historical site, that's of a certain amount, then that may be one of the activities that the nonprofit may want to consider is getting a farm number, and you have groups that are working with the organization for certain program service delivery and working with local communities. Then you get the farm number, this is an example, and you qualify for natural resource conservation services. You could have that type of program going to offer both activities for individuals working with senior citizens and understanding and doing gardening, doing vegetable production practices, understanding that whole process, the importance of that, and then back with extension service, being a part of that as a partner with you, and all at the same time offering direct to consumer food supply. Again, servicing the community itself, direct to consumers, and as well as others. You may sell to some of the restaurant stores and other areas, other private sector businesses in the area here. But natural resource conservation services, financial assistance offers under that EQUIP program, building those type of facilities, what they call them hoop houses, look like big greenhouses, but you can really produce vegetables in them almost year round, practically year round. And those individuals who you may have a lot or two lots or two adjoining lots, you get that farm number, you can do the same thing on that lot of those two lots, get a farm number and receive the financial assistance from Natural Resource Conservation Services to qualify for the EQUIP program, put the hoop houses in, do vegetable, again, farming operations in your local community. I know you work with the local citizens here, residents here as well, working with the community facility here as a whole. But those are potential programmatic, type of thing both nonprofits can do as well as individuals if you're talking about micro-urban farming and promoting or getting more micro-urban farming started in this area. And there are a lot of other things that can be done from a planning perspective and dealing with cooperatives and rural development talked about, and creating that as another step forward when you have a number of producers in the area based on the producers that already exist in the areas as micro-urban farmers. I will say this, after you have completed the EQUIP contract, after you finish the EQUIP contract, so you have your hoop house up and you have certain practices that you are carrying out in starting up that micro farm or small farm that includes that hoop house. Mr. Williams also gave reference to the CSP, Conservation Stewardship Program. Then one could come back and apply for the CSP contract with that micro farm, small farm. And those are certain practices, and NRCS work with individuals on developing those contracts. The minimum payment on a CSP contract is $4,000 a year. The minimum payment, $4,000 a year. And so that means that micro-urban farm, after you have met all the compliance requirements with the EQUIP contract, getting all your infrastructure in, getting your hoop house up, automatic irrigation system put in with the hoop house, then you could apply for the CSP program, Conservation Stewardship Practices, where you know that micro farm or small farm is going to have the minimum amount of revenue being generated based on how you operate that micro-urban farm of $4,000. I said that's the minimum now, don't mean it's the maximum. I think the maximum amount you can get on each contract is $250,000 or $200,000. On CSP.
200.
$200,000 is a maximum on the CSP contract. The minimum is $4,000. So again, depending upon what your strategy is, how you're going to be enhancing your production practices, your operation practices, once you have fully implemented that micro-urban farm through the eQuip program. And again, then you have the operating capital back through Farm Service Agency on the micro loan program. I failed to mention one other program that's on the farm program side with FSA. If you're a landowner, and you may be farming or not farming, you may have your land leased. The other program that's on the farm service side is the it's not CSP, CRP, Conservation Reserve Program. It's the Conservation Reserve Program. So if you own land or own a farm, or your air property, whichever, the Conservation Reserve Program, which is through Farm Service Agency, you can put your land into the Conservation Reserve Program, which means you're not going to be leasing it out or farming it for a period, I think it's 15 years. 10 years, for a period of 10 years in the Conservation Reserve Program, 10 years you're in, and you're going to receive an annual payment. And of course, that's with the plan. You may put perennial grasses on it and cut it, once a year, cut those grasses once a year. And it varies from county to county. The dollar amount is what they pay on a per acre basis. In a lot of cases, I've seen where the Conservation Reserve Program, where some families decided to sign up for the Conservation Reserve Program with Farm Service Agency, and the amount that they were receiving per acre was more than the rental dollar amount, with them having it rented out to an operator. So I failed to mention that on the program side with Farm Service Agency, but that's the Conservation Reserve Program with FSA. And I just encourage individuals to go to FSA, ask them about the Conservation Reserve Program, what's the sign-up period for it, and what is the average payment per acre that they are making in your particular county for it to be in for a 10-year period of time, and the type of plans, conservation plans that they're inclined to support, in a contract. NRCS normally works in partnership with FSA on development, and I think I'm right that on those conservation plans.
And I think it's 15 years if it's trees, hardwood, isn't it?
Yes, 10 years for grass, 15 for
15
so 10 to 15 years.
Okay, so the Conservation Reserve would be 10 years or 15 years?
Yes.
15 years if you're going to put it in trees.
No, yeah.
And hardwood trees. And 10 years if you're going to put it in grasses. So if you're going to put it in grasses, and people come up with a lot of plans and how they develop those particular contracts. Some want to just permanent, say, I'm gonna put trees out there and just grow trees. I know this is tree country, don't get me wrong. That's why I know this is tree country for a lot of people. So they said, I'm gonna put it in trees and get the car share, I'm gonna put it in the trees, and I'm gonna grow trees from this point out and go from there. But you have the technical individuals that can work with you in developing that plan and the type of hardwood that one may want to produce with that particular plan. Now NRCS also have a similar program, and it's not CRP, the Conservation Reserve Program, but it's the Conservation Easement Program. Now the Conservation Easement Program, one can put it in for 15 years or permanent. Am I right, sweet?
15, 30 and permanent.
15 years, 30 years, and permanent. Now, in that particular program, of course, we put it in the program on a timeline, and If it's 15 years, it's gonna be in the program. So if you have 50 acres, 100 acres of land or so, and you wanna put it in the conservation easement program, that means you qualify. It goes in the conservation easement program, then they pay you so much per acre for that time period that is in the program. I don't know how much that is per acre now, what the dollar figure is on it. It has changed from 1 year to the next. They're coming out with another farm bill that may be even more. And then you can put it into a conservation easement program where it is permanent. I mean, you put it in there, you cannot take it out and you cannot farm it. Now you can lease it out for hunting, but you cannot farm it. So if you put it in the conservation easement program on a permanent basis, I know in Arkansas at one time on irrigated land, they were paying, I think it was $3,800 an acre. Well, it was about the maximum, don't quote me on that, but it was over $3,000 an acre on irrigated land. If you're going to put it in permanent. Again, it may have gone up some, or it may go up more with the next farm bill. You know, we don't know at this point. Or you can put it in for that 15-year or 30-year period of time. And they have a schedule on how much they will pay on a per acre basis as well for the conservation easement program. One, they want to plant trees and do other things. And again, it depends upon how you see yourself using that property over a period of time, and how you put together. But I say always put together a business plan on it. Do your income, revenue projections on it. Understand what your expenses are on it, because if it goes into a program permanently, you still got to pay taxes on it. So you need to know what the tax liability is going to be during that period of time, the duration, the time that it is in there, and other possible revenue generating opportunities that will still exist on how you use the land. So that's pretty much all I have, and that's sort of my summary and closing point. Anyone who wants to receive additional information as far as our program service delivery itself is concerned from a technical systems perspective, with our farm program division, or with our housing technical systems, then you can contact us at our main office, which is 870-734-3005. R1140, and the phone numbers are on the back of the information. I may be wrong about that.
It's the 870-734-1140 for the 3005, which you just say, that's correct.
Right.
Now, for city.
Yeah, and then the number for our Fordyce City office, how you can reach Ms. Williams and Mr. Lofton is 870-594-8028. That's Mr. Lofton. And you can reach Ms. Williams at 870-594-8994. And you can reach me by leaving a message to either one of them. I'll just go call back. And I will return your call. Or you can call the number 870-734-1140, 870-734-3005. Either leave a message, they will transfer you in to me, and I will speak to you directly. But either way, I will get back with you. I figure with all these folks, whether I answer the phone or not, I'm gonna get your message that we gonna do what's necessary. But they say the first line of defense are those who do the job best. So that's why I gave you those numbers. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Again, thank you for Fordyce, the Civic Center, and anything we can do to help or to work with you in this area, including the nonprofit organization, we'd be looking forward to being a partner with you.
I have one comment. When I came today, I had no idea that I would be getting all of it. I wasn't told that. I was told that we were interested in trying to historical site, stuff of this meeting. I had no idea that we would get all this information about farms. We have 35 acres of land that have just been sitting out there. Just been sitting out there for 20 years.
Wow.
Haven't done anything with it. Haven't done anything with it.
Well, see, it's one, I really appreciate that comment and the fact that you feel you have got
Yeah.
more than the information,
Because I had no idea. Get this information.
right, more than information.
Low income house, how to get a grant for a house, low income house.
Right.
And to get a grant for the historical site in here.
Right.
And we got all this information.
Well, on that, you should not have 35 acres just sitting out.
It has been sitting there for 20 years. Parents, both parents, in-laws of the city.
Right.
There were 7 in the family. It's 2 left. One in the state, both of them out of state. The oldest daughter wants to keep the property. The youngest daughter wants to sell the property because she doesn't have any children.
Right.
And she looked at it when she goes and she passed away. No one would inherit any, So it's just.
Well,
I'm in the middle of it all. I'm an in-law. I'm in the middle of it all. I talk for this sister-in-law and I talk for that sister-in-law, trying to convince one, to say, I'll do something because, it's just a bad situation, it really is.
Well, let me say, the one that wants to sell, she first has to offer it to the other heirs.
Let me tell you about that, my mother-in-law left a will, the will stated that, this daughter could get the house if she didn't have a home. She has a home now, but if she, in other words, if she had a house, it would just be sold and all the money divided equally. But she feels like that if it's sold, that she should get more than what the others get.
No, what I'm saying, if she does not want to sell, and just one, it could be 2 or whichever, the ones that do not want the 3 who do not want to sell.
2 of them.
2.
2 siblings left out of 7, 2 siblings left.
Okay, so what out of those 2, whichever one that does not want to sell, then that person has that right, and the one that wants to sell has to first offer that interest to the one who does not want to sell. At the appraised value, whatever the appraised value is of that particular land. I would encourage you though, if that land has a farm number, does not have a farm number, you need to get it into operation with a farmer, individuals at beginning farmer or whichever, lease it to them for at least 5 to 7 years, where they can utilize some of the other USDA programs that we talked about here. One, getting an operating loan for the 35 acres, and 2, to utilize NRCS program, the program benefits that USDA has to offer with Natural Resource Conservation Service.
You get a farm number and a track.
Get the farm number and what's the track number.
And where did we get that number?
You get that from Farm Service Agency. Farm Service Agency will work with you to make sure, if you don't already have a farm number. I'm not saying.
Has it ever been farmed? Has it ever been farmed?
Has it ever been farmed? No. My dad-in-law was alive and that was 25 years ago.
Okay,
But
so
it's farm number property, it's still active.
So where do
Well,
I,
not
where
active.
do I will work.
And FSA office, you just go on,
FSA.
yes ma'am, Farm Service Agency, FSA.
Okay, and how do I contact them, just Google it? You have a number?
Yeah, you can just Google it, I don't have it, 35
It's on your phone, I know I can.
She wants to talk to you once you finish.
But
But you can contact the Monticello number, and I do know it. Yeah, that, Tommy, the same number is 870-367-8400. And you will enter number 2 for FSA. And just kind of write down the questions that you want to ask them and make an appointment. That's probably the best thing. Go in, make an appointment and kind of have.
And they are where?
They're located at 419 Game Street in Monticello.
In Monticello.
Yes, ma'am. You can call that number and they will give you, contact someone here in Fordyce in Dallas County. Dallas County FSA, that's what, you know, they have one here, but I don't know where it is. I know you said you don't live here in Fordyce. You don't live in Fordyce?
No.
Okay.
So in Washington County.
She live in Washington. Oh, there's
Didn't you say Bearden?
I live in Dallas
Oh, you live in
County.
Dallas?
I'm not.
Oh, you're in Dallas. Okay,
I'm in Dallas County, yes.
okay, but that's where you, Dallas County is who you need. But any of them could tell you and direct you to whomever you need to speak with.
And if you don't get the right answer from them,
Carlos.
call one of them and let them know you want to talk to me. And we will definitely take care of everything.
This gas station, make a left, and before you get to the pig market that shot up. You don't wanna turn it that way.
It's,
right there.
When you get to the address.
Yeah.
It's 702 4th Street. 4th Street.
702.
Yes, ma'am, 4th Street. You know where the apartments are, ma'am?
Pardon?
You know where the apartments are going back into?
Yes.
Straight across from it.
All right.
That road right there, that's 4th Street.
4th Street.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay, thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
And we'd like to work with you on that farming operation.
Okay. Well, my 2 sister-in-laws, I need them.
Yeah. Let me just
I guess I'm an heir because my husband is,
Yeah, those 7 children, those other heirs.
the others are heirs, so 5 heirs.
I would suggest this to you also, and this is just sort of a quick way to do it. Try to identify people in this area that's raising vegetables. You may know some that's raising vegetables now. And it don't have to be vegetable producers. And see if any of those individuals, I'll tell your sister-in-law to check with them to see if they would be interested in renting the land to raise vegetables. So you can check on that. And
My
then,
sister is dead set on selling, that's all she wants to do. And the other sister-in-law, they said, I'll keep it. So,
yeah, well, you know that right now, as I say, as the law stands now, if one wants to sell it, then she can't just sell it to anybody. She has to offer it to the other sister at the appraised value. And if they need help working through that process, we'll try to work with them on that as well. Okay? All right, thank you all very much.
Thank you all very.
All right, thank you all for coming. This is at the end of our meeting. So we hope that you have enjoyed and have gained knowledge. Gain some knowledge with this. The agency itself, Arkansas Land, has a wealth of information that available for you and to you. And staff would just like to thank you again. And on behalf of Arkansas Land and Community Development Corporation with our own CEO, Dr. King, we have some pressures there. And you are welcome to take it with you. All right. And thank you. Have a safe trip going back.